Hey guys, I know I normally do stupid videos where I just stick around with my friends and have fun playing video games, but I felt like I just wanted to take my idiot hat off for a few minutes and just sit and sort of give my opinion on things that are happening. And what better topic to start on than loot boxes, which makes people very angry. But I want to talk about an article that Kotaku put out yesterday called Star Wars Battlefront 2 lets you pay real money for multiplayer advantages. Essentially, this article is just talking about the loot crate system in Battlefront 2. During the beta, EA were thrown a lot of crap about their loot crate system, where you could, without a doubt, pay for loot boxes which had in-game upgrades in them. For those out of the loop, I'll just give you a quick rundown of how the progression system works in the game. The progression was tied entirely to these items called star cards, which were cards that gave you statistical advantages when you equip them, so like 10% extra damage or 5% extra health regeneration, etc. Your class level was tied to how many star cards you had for that class, and the higher your class level was, the more star cards you could equip. So you could purchase boxes which gave you star cards which increased your class level so you could equip more star cards, and some of them were just downright ridiculous. The highest tier of cards gave you insane advantages like 100% damage reduction when you do an ability, or 100% extra health when you're in a certain ship. Now, you could get crates by doing challenges and just quote-unquote playing the game, but you could bypass all of that entirely by just throwing money at it. And I, myself, was particularly concerned that someone could get the game, instantly buy loot boxes, which would then give them a objective advantage over other players who did not. And I actually made a video for Battlefront 2 during the beta, and it's a video I really liked. But I chose not to upload it because I didn't want people to then go out and buy Battlefield and get ripped off because of the in-game transactions. Not that I have a big influence. I have 31 subscribers, but you get the idea. After the beta, EA released a quote-unquote update of sorts, detailing some of the changes they made to the loot crate system, and I'll link that and the Kotaku article down below in the description, so you can have a look for yourself. But essentially, EA said that the highest tier of star cards you could get were no longer in crates, so your primary way to get them was to craft them, and the ability to craft them was bound by level. Most of the weapons were taken out of the loot boxes, but some were kept in, and they didn't say which ones, and class-specific gear were unlocked by class-specific crates that you could get by just playing the classes, similar to how Battlefield 4 did their sort of battle pack systems. Now, this wasn't the response that I was hoping for, because the loot crates were still in the game, and most of the problems people had were actually with the star cards being in them. And EA decided to take some of them out, but keep most of them in. EA either has a horrible lack of comprehension or just love money. Probably a bit of both. And that brings us to the Kotaku article, which basically says that even though crafting the highest tier of star cards is locked behind both a player level and a class level, the class level is still tied to how many star cards for that class you have, which means you can just buy loot crates to level up your class pretty much instantly. I mean, gating the crafting of cards behind two progression levels really only adds a small obstacle, especially if you have people who just grind the game for hours and hours and hours. And this obstacle is made even easier to traverse when, according to the article, you can still equip cards you get in crates even if you haven't reached the level requirements to actually craft them there. So let's say Joe Bloggs goes out, buys Battlefront 2, is really stoked, gets home, and then buys a shit ton of loot crates to get the lower rank star cards. These cards still give him a statistical advantage over players who did not, which makes his time easier to level up because he's just shitting over everyone else, because he just does more damage, is more accurate, heals more, and this potentially gives rise to two situations in the game. one where players are forced to grind because they either don't have the money to, or flat out don't want to purchase crates, which completely ruins the enjoyment for them because there's going to be other people who did buy crates and do have more star cards. Or another situation where players feel like they need to purchase crates just to be on equal footing with everyone else. And this is pretty awful design, and it just incentivizes more people to buy crates. And this is a shame, absolute shame, because I really enjoyed the beta when I played it. Miles ahead of the first reboot, and more like the original Battlefront games, which I absolutely adored back when I was a teenager on my PS2. Loot crates can't be brought up without bringing up Overwatch. And Overwatch is by no means perfect. And some people argue that Overwatch was the game that completely shot loot crates into the mainstream. And whilst those arguments definitely aren't without merit, I don't find the Overwatch boxes inherently bad. There's definitely improvements that can be made, like granting players credits per game, for instance, instead of tying credits entirely to loot boxes, so then they can just play the game and just buy skins that they want to. But the Overwatch system is entirely cosmetic, and you can play the game, enjoy the game, without paying any more than the price of the game. And if loot boxes are going to be in games, which I feel like they're not going away now, then this is probably the lesser of two evils. Not like Battlefront 2. That's all I really want to say on loot boxes, especially considering that the discussion is quite fiery at the moment. I was actually going to download my free trial of Battlefront 2 as I have Origin Access, but I decided I'm just going to give the game a miss, and that's really a shame because the game was really enjoyable. EA's built up a lot of goodwill with me with Titanfall 2 and their DLC model, but they're just fucking it straight back into the ground.